Okay, good morning, everybody. Thank you for your patience. It's 9:10 a.m. on November 29th, 2021, and I'll call this meeting of the Ascmv board meeting to order. If you would join me in the Pledge of Allegiance, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. And if we can get a roll call, please. Okay, well, I'll take the roll call. Assistant County Manager McMahon? Here. Mayor Pro Tem Cassandra Gondara?
Here.
Vice Chair Betestuvi?
Here.
And the Chair, Manny Sanchez, myself, is here, so we have a quorum. Before we move into changes to the agenda, for those present, I will have to apologize due to a conflict I have and those that are absent, and to maintain a quorum, we'll have to make significant changes to this agenda. So what we will be looking to do is we'll be tabling or moving items 4A and B, which are the minutes from the work session on October 14th, 2021, and the board meeting of October 28th, 2021. Reports and presentations A, B, C, and D for the CFPP by SNAP, the city and county ACO reports, shelter statistics and activities, and committee reports. The discussion item for Ascmv public walk-ins, which is agenda item 6A, and action item 7B will all be moved to our next Ascmv meeting in December, which is currently scheduled for December, I believe, 15th. Okay. So what will remain right now on our agenda is one item, which is 7A. It's a resolution 2021. Oh. Okay. Scratch everything I just said. We will now be able to maintain quorum. So we will maintain our current agenda. So I apologize for the confusion. So if that's, let's see, it is 9:12 a.m. and let the record show Commissioner Allens has joined us. So I will say now, there will be no changes to the agenda, and if I can get a motion to approve the agenda.
So moved. Second.
Moved by Mayor Pro Tem Gondara, seconded by Vice Chair Betestuvi. Is there any questions, input? Okay, then we'll take a roll call. Commissioner Allens?
Here.
And the approval, on your vote on the approval of the agenda?
Yes.
Assistant County Manager McMahon?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Gondara?
Yes.
Vice Chair Betestuvi?
Yes.
And a yes from myself, so the agenda is approved. Okay, we're on to the meeting minutes on the approval of minutes for Ascmv work session held on October 14th, 2021. Can I get a motion and a second for approval?
Moved.
Moved by Commissioner Allens?
Second.
Seconded by Vice Chair Betestuvi. Are there any changes to the minutes? And also, it's 9:13 a.m., so I'll show that the record reflect that Councillor Flores has joined us as well. Okay. I will begin a roll call for that. Commissioner Allens?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Gondara?
Yes.
Vice Chair Betestuvi?
Yes.
I vote yes. Assistant County Manager McMahon?
Yes.
And Councillor Flores?
Yes.
Okay, those minutes from the work session are approved. We're on to 4B, the approval of the minutes from the regular Ascmv board meeting held on October 28th, 2021. Can I get a motion and a second to approve?
So moved.
Moved by Commissioner Allens.
Second by Flores.
Second by Councillor Flores. Are there any comments on the meeting minutes? Not seeing any? We'll take a roll call on those. Councillor Flores?
Yes.
Commissioner Allens?
Yes.
Assistant County Manager McMahon?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Gondara?
Yes.
Vice Chair Bates-Stuvey?
Yes.
And I vote yes. So the meeting minutes from the board meeting of October 28th are approved. Okay, we're on to Section 5, the reports and presentations, the CFPP presentation, which will be on the SNAP program, which will be given by Suzanne Daly and Susan Kruger. If you wouldn't mind. Mr. Thacker.
Clint Thacker, Executive Director, Animal Service Center, Mesilla Valley. We currently don't have computers on or screens on, and the speakers are sounding odd. So we're trying, I know Christina is trying to work on that and get it up and going. It'll just be a moment.
Okay.
Mr. Chair, Clint Thacker again. I just wanted to bring to the board's attention, and those that are here, that the time change for the December 15th meeting, notice on the agenda it says 8 a.m. It looks like the same thing that occurred when we rescheduled the meetings for Thanksgiving and Christmas. Those never got on the city calendar. So when I double-checked just last week, again, there was no December 15th meeting. So I had the secretaries schedule that, and in order to meet everybody's schedule, we had to move it to 8 a.m. So that's why it's 8 a.m. on Wednesday, the 15th.
Thank you for the update, Mr. Thacker.
Testing. Does it sound any better? Any different?
Mr. Chairman,
Commissioner Owens?
I must have missed something. What are we waiting for?
At the moment, we're waiting for the computer for the presentations to be able to log in and present. And then I believe there is one other issue. It sounds like they're, I guess, can you hear us out in the, okay, so at least the microphones seems like they're working. So, okay. So we're just waiting on that for the presentations.
This is like waiting for Godot.
I was confusing waiting for Godot with of mice and men.
No, those entirely separate
Yes, they
entities.
are.
I saw the play and I read the book.
But they're both starting that process.
No, I don't think we're done with Splendid.
Turn off your
I don't
mic.
think it's Splendid.
Okay, fellow board members, I think what we're going to decide to do is, given the IT issues, is that in order to keep with the current agenda, we'll still continue on with presentations for those that would like to at least speak. I know the board will not be able to see the presentation, but at least having the discussion, being able to present, I think at the moment that's what we'll have to do until IT fixes the issue. If there are presentations and additional things that they can share, we can always come back to those items, I believe, or at least do it maybe during public input. So we'll go ahead and allow, at least for SNAP, for the CFPP presentation, if you'd like to come up. And I apologize for the issues, but and I will also apologize myself. I will have to be stepping out and be handing the meeting over to Vice Chair Batistuvi, so thank you all for your patience and understanding.
Good morning, Chair Sanchez and members of the Animal Service Center Board. I am Susan Kruger, a board member and volunteer. I am Susan Kruger, a board member and volunteer with SNAP, the Spay and Neuter Action Program. And with me are Suzanne Daly and Karen George, both also board members with SNAP. May I add here that Claire Kapner introduced me to the volunteer program at the Animal Services Center, where I've been volunteering now for just over 9 years. SNAP is a spay and neuter program for cats and dogs. The animals served by SNAP are privately owned, and the owners are low-income people who live in both the unincorporated and incorporated areas of Doña Ana County. SNAP was organized in 1998 as an educational nonprofit under the name of Spay and Neuter Awareness Program. Those original organizers found that a large percentage of the cats and dogs either dropped off at the shelter or picked up by animal control were from low-income households, some of whom did not have the means to have their pets fixed. By 2001, SNAP, now the Spay and Neuter Action Program, had expanded its mission to include providing subsidized spay and neuter surgeries to pets of low-income households. SNAP's specific goal was to serve low-income pet owners, but at the same time to be a part of the general effort to decrease the number of animals taken in and euthanized at the Animal Services Center. So how does the program work? There is continuous community outreach through social media and posting flyers to let residents know that there is help available to fix their pets. A client joins the SNAP program in one of 3 ways. First, SNAP currently has a contract with the County of Doña Ana to provide spay and neuter services for pets of residents living in unincorporated rural areas of the county. The contract was awarded to SNAP in August of 2019. The services are free, and they include a rabies shot and a microchip. The second way, The second way a client can enter the SNAP program is through a voucher program. And the voucher program uses local veterinarians to provide subsidized spay and neuter services for pets of low-income families. With the voucher program, SNAP begins by qualifying the client as low income. This starts with a conversation and then, if appropriate, an application and an office visit at which the client provides the income information. To establish qualifying income, SNAP uses HUD low-income guidelines for our area. Next, clients receive a voucher to be redeemed at a designated veterinarian clinic. The voucher asks for client information and pet information and then provides specific information on how to schedule the appointment with the veterinarian. Then once the service has been provided, the veterinarian returns the redeemed voucher to SNAP along with an invoice which SNAP then pays. When SNAP was fully operational, the voucher redemption rate was 90 to 95%. For the third way to join SNAP's program, low-income clients may choose to sign up for the SNAP's mobile clinic program, where the spay or neuter takes place in a specially equipped surgical van parked in SNAP's parking lot, and the pet's recovery takes place in designated areas of the SNAP office. And this is all done, once the recovery begins, this is done under the direction of a vet tech. Clinics were held monthly, averaging 10 to 12 cats in the morning and 13 to 15 dogs of different sizes in the afternoon. SNAP has never been a single-service organization. In addition to providing spay and neuter services, SNAP partners with other animal action groups on fundraising events and refers clients to other organizations for low-cost vaccinations, microchips, and financial help with pet food. With the onset of COVID-19, among the businesses partially closed by the governor were veterinarian clinics, and they were closed down to all but essential services, which did not include spay and neuter. Without veterinarian services, the challenge for SNAP during April, May, June, and July was to stay connected with clients. To do so, SNAP used a telephone answering system to receive and return calls. Then in August, using COVID-safe practices, the SNAP office reopened with staff. So using mail, phone, email, and a drop-off box right outside the office door, staff began providing spay and neuter services through both the county contract and the voucher program. We anticipate a return to providing spay and neuter services for cats and small dogs through the mobile clinic program in May to late 2022. Okay, so we had some slides.
Thank you, Ms. Suzanne. I believe we do have somebody from our IT department right now that, if you don't mind, he's going to take a look at the computer.
Sorry.
You got the slide?
Thank you so much.
Okay. So we'll try and go back through them. Okay, just stay there. Yeah. Just stay there. And that's our mission statement. Next. This is an example of some of the advertising that we did. This was in dog cruises, and it's in both English and Spanish, and it just gives sort of a real quick overview shot for people who might be interested in spay or neuter services. So we have some statistics here, and these are the spay and neuters by year. And I'm going to ask Suzanne to address why the jump in 2019.
Good morning. Our normal, we track normally about 1,200 to 1,400. You'll see that in 2018, so this really only includes 3 years. 2019, quite a bit happened. The way we determine how many spays and neuters we could do is grants, contracts, and donations. So we had a bit of a surge there. Also, what helped here is the Doñana County contract. It's the second half was in 2019.
And then there's one more slide, and this is spay and neuters by dogs. Well, first by year, then dogs, spay, dogs, neuter, and then cat, spay and neuter, and then totals.
And what happens here is we run about a 60-40 percentage rate, 60% dogs, 40% cats. The same thing happens at the spay-neuter level, 60% spays, 40% neuters, and plus or minus 2 percentage points.
Just stay here. So, okay, that's thank you very much. And we stand for questions.
Thank you. Are there any questions by members of the board? Board Member Gandara.
Thank you, Vice Chair Abeta Stuvi. Thank you, Judge Kruger, for your presentation. Always appreciate you being here and your support. I had some questions about, are you still operating, like, I thought I heard you say when we were operating fully. Am I assuming that you're not fully operational because of COVID, or what does that mean?
Well, we are not having clients come in the office at this point.
Okay.
But we used staff and volunteers. There are 2 staff people and up to 5 volunteers. So with COVID-safe practices set up in the office, then some combination of staff and volunteers may be present. We hope that 2022 will allow us to at least have the mobile clinic operational, which uses the office. But I think that this is almost a day-to-day decision now. We'll wait for the governor, right?
Right. So your van isn't fully operational at this point?
No.
Now, if it was fully operational, it would be the 2 people and the 5 volunteers that would go out to a place?
How does...
or a
I'm
location?
sorry, was the question about the van or the office operations?
The van.
Oh, the van. It's actually held at the office. We have at least 2 to 3 people in the morning and 2 to 3 people in the afternoon. We do 25 pets. So we don't really need to see clients in person. We would do the same thing as the veterinarians do, bring the pets in one at a time to reduce the risk.
Got it.
So
Okay.
it would be that part.
Thank you. Thank you so much for your work. I appreciate it. Thank you, Vice Chair Abate-Stuvi.
Thank you. Any other questions? Seeing none, thank you so much for your presentation and for all the work that you do.
Thank you.
We'll move on to item number B, which is our city and county ACO reports. Lou, we'll start with you. Thank you.
Morning. Mary Lou Ward, Doñana County Animal Control. Let me see if I can get this. Okay, we'll go ahead and start with our October report for Doñana County. And in October, Doñana County Animal Control responded to 281 stray animals. They picked up 126 of those stray animals. Out of those 126, 55 of those were cats, 71 were dogs. In addition to that, there was 25 sick or injured animals that were picked up, 11 cats and 14 dogs. There were 7 owner release animals, owner surrendered, 1 cat and 6 dogs. And here's a chart of a 4-year comparison chart that can show you from year to year, going back into 2018, of the numbers, of the stray reported numbers from one year to the next. And then here's a 4-year comparison owner release chart, or return to owner, chart. So you can see from September to October, we returned 5 more animals in the field than we did the month prior to that. So that's a little encouraging. And then of the additional animals picked up, we also had 3 welfare holds, 0 of the neglect, 8 shelter quarantines, 4 home quarantines, and then 0 of the court hold quarantines. And I'll just add that our court hold facility is undergoing some renovations right now. They're remodeling our floors, so they're going through a whole process right now. So we're purposely trying not to put animals in there while they're doing that, but if we have to, we can put the animals in there. And I've left this up for further reference in regards to the districts and explanation of the districts. And breaking it down even further into the districts, so there was District 1, we had 2, and both of those were dogs. District 2, we had 29, 15 cats and 14 dogs. District 3, we had 22, 11 and 11. District 4, we had 23, 10 cats and 13 dogs. District 5, we had 15, 1 cat, 14 dogs. District 6, we had 10, 5 and 5. And District 7, we had 25, 13 and 12. So that'll help us break down our hotspot areas. And then, of course, breaking this down, our stray cats by districts, it'll show you which our highest districts were the hotspot for the month, and then going into further, which are hotspot for our dogs, for our stray dogs for that month, which is our hotspot. And you can go and see for the month, which is our hotspot area. And so going into our owner release, we had 4 dogs that were owner released because they were too aggressive. 1 was dangerous, meaning it was already dangerous because it had caused some harm to another animal. And then 2, they were unable to care for their animal. And for that, I'll stand for any questions.
Thank you. Board Member Flores and then Board Member Ellens.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you, Mary Lou. I have a question that's a little off subject. Well, not so much. Do you ever get calls, like in District 3, which is the East Mesa? I think 3 and 4 are the furthest east, right? Do you ever get calls for coyotes or any other animal, or like say wolf, but I'm sure we don't get those, but any coyotes that might be mistaken for a dog or?
Actually, we do. We get calls all the time for coyotes. A lot of times it's mostly the areas that are the outskirts where they're not really sure if they're dogs or coyotes. Either they've come in and they've attacked some livestock, and then they've caught them on camera where they've determined, yes, these are coyotes. Or it's the howling that they've gotten calls for, and they're calling about a barking dog, and it turns out it's the howling and it's a coyote. So those are the types of calls we've gotten called for.
And then what do you do with that?
We turn it over to our wildlife services.
Then, do you have any idea what they do?
Excuse me?
Do you have any idea what they do? What action they take?
They turn in a report to us every 3 months. They've given us a report, but they will respond to that. They go out and educate, and they will go out and respond to that.
Do you know whether they take any action with the animal?
They will take action if the animal becomes a nuisance or a safety. Then they will take action. They will do any kind of relocating and whatnot if they need to.
Okay. Do you know if there's any killing?
Sometimes there might be. If the animal has gone onto someone's property and attacked their livestock or something. But I couldn't answer for sure what, they would have to do that answering.
Do they submit reports to your department?
They do. To our department and to the county.
To the county.
Both.
So it would be good to get those stats. Thank you so much, Mary.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Board Member Ellens.
Madam Chair. Mary Lou, is Picacho Hills in District 2?
Yes, sir.
Okay. I assume that it was because of Fair Acres.
Yes, sir, it is.
I want to congratulate you on your promotion.
Thank you, sir.
I forget what your title is, but you're now in charge of animal control for the county.
Yes, sir.
I don't know how many people knew that.
Thank you, sir.
Okay.
Congratulations.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Any other questions? No? Okay.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Good morning, Chairman. Good morning, members of the board. My name is Animal Control Officer Sal Aguirre. I'm standing in for Supervisor Gino Jimenez. So I'll be giving you the numbers here momentarily as long as I can find our folder here. Right there. All right, perfect. No, there we are. Okay, so I'm going to read you the numbers for the month of October here. So for the month of October, we had 462 reported stray animals. 233 of them were gone on arrival. 229 stray animals were apprehended. 185 stray were impounded at the shelter, 6 of them being dogs, 118 of them being cats. We had 44 successful field returns, 20 unsuccessful attempted field returns. impounded at the shelter. And that's for a total of 64 identifiable stray animals. So for our 3-year comparison for the stray animal calls, for the month of October, we had 462 compared to 480 from the previous month of 480, which is typical for the winter, fall months, where our numbers start to decrease a little bit. In our 3-year field RTO comparison, for the month of October, we had 44 field RT returns compared to 40 for the month of September, which is a slight increase, which is good. And then the reasons for owner releasing our animals, we had 2. The owner released dogs were attacking owners' other dogs. We had 1 owner that could not keep the animal confined. We had 1 dog aggressive towards owner and other dogs within the household. 1 dog owner that didn't have any time for his animal. We had 2 dogs that the owner was unable to care for, and then 3. We had 3 that were involved in a bite, and then 4. We had 4 dogs moving the owners were moving and could not care for them, and then 1 that was owner released because the dog was aggressive. So some of the reasons why we were unable to field RTO, return to owner, we had 12 that were no contact by phone or at residence. We had 2 microchips that were not registered, and we had 2 microchips that were not up to date. We had 1 owner that was out of town, and then we had 1 owner that was arrested. No one else was at home. We had 1 owner lived in Alamogordo. We had to impound that he was going to pick it up the following day or that afternoon. And then we had 1 contacted registered. We contacted the registered person by phone, stated that the dog did not belong to her, and then hung up the phone. And any questions?
Thank you so much. Are there any questions from any members of the board?
Thank you. That concludes my presentation.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Next up, we have our item number C, shelter statistics and activities with Mr. Thacker.
Thank you, Madam Vice Chair. Clint Thacker, Executive Director, Animal Service Center, Mesilla Valley. Congratulations to Mary Lou, and also best wishes to Gino on his healing from his surgery he had. I hope both. Best wishes. Director's report for the Animal Service Center, Mesilla Valley. These are from October. Current animal count, 508 as of, was that last Friday? Last Friday. So a little bit different, but not a lot. Intake 651. That's 308 dogs and 339 cats for 2021. You see the comparison there. Dogs in 2019, that is quite a bit lower, and then cats are just about right in there the same. These are our transfer numbers, our rescue numbers, as always, 174. We are no longer, if you see New Hope Rescue, Inc., there on the second column, 22 dogs, 3 cats. They're no longer a partner. They had some issues with a lot sickness going on, and there's investigation with the state of Colorado and that rescue, so we are no longer rescuing with them as a partner. But however, we do have others that we worked with, picked up, the Helen Woodward Animal Center, 21 dogs they took in October. We also did one just last week to them and doing another one coming up. So we're thankful for them. They're located in California. But we are having talks of meeting halfway, and then also a flight is going to be happening December 12th. It's a little bit more of a publicity stunt than anything. It's like 5 or 6 dogs going and a lot of pictures being taken, but still, we are welcoming that attention that we can get from anywhere and to get these animals out alive. Locally, we're always appreciative of the help the Action Programs for Animals does for us, and all the local rescues, Broken Promises, Cherish Canine, so we appreciate all that they do. These are our returns, a total of 5 dogs, 0 cats, behavior problems, lifestyle changes. Again, we do talk to these individuals when they come in, figure out what's going on, what we can do, if, teach or give information on if the dog's going to the bathroom in the house or lifestyle changes. Do you need a list of apartments that allow dogs, kind of a thing. So we do our best to educate them. Statistically, we're not doing too bad. 20%, 20.5% adoptions. And these are our outcomes in October. So 10% reclaims, 26.7% rescued animals went out, 22% were community cats, and euthanasia actually went up 29.3%. However, it was a lower number, 191 animals euthanized. That gave us a live release rate of 73.2. Our number one euthanasia reasons have changed. If you remember before, it was the community cats or the feral cats. But since that a program was put in place, we've actually shifted a little bit, and we're looking at space for medical reasons, medical respiratory signs. TX means treatments. So those animals, those dogs, it's the biggest reason for them. They were given treatments, they weren't responding, so we had to do some euthanasia there. And then the behavior aggressive dog. You see cats are coming in. Looks like the number one reason is medical failure to thrive. Most of those are probably kittens that come in mass numbers where they just have, they already come to us below the line that we can save, so there's just that failure there. There's a new slide that we put in for our volunteer program. Now that's up and running with strength behind it. We are currently active 102 volunteers. Yoli has done an amazing job of coming in and revitalizing our volunteer program. Cat volunteers, dog walkers, all of them come up 546 total hours for October. These are all off-sites. These are all dog walking. We even have people coming in doing laundry, folding laundry. And there's some of those that don't want to come to the center, so they do other things outside of the center that they could do at their home. And we are always very thankful for all that they do there. Total volunteers, 678 in October, down a little bit from September. However, higher than it was last year in October. Our appointments, 90% of the 163 total appointments, 90% were kept, so that's fantastic. And then finalized adoptions was 98, so that's 60% of those were kept. Website views was down 32,316. Remember, just for those that are listening for the first time, that number is not the number of page hits that we have. That is every time you click on a dog and then to see it and then go back, that counts as 2 views. So people look at multiple animals that can add up quickly, but still 32,316 is a really high number that we're happy to see people there seeing them. Facebook views are higher. I think that contributes to our stronger presence on Facebook and also Instagram that we've been having for the last month. That's our highest number yet, and we are happy about that. We'll continue to have a good presence. Again, our volunteer coordinator, Yoli, does an excellent job of keeping things up to date for that. Instagram and Snapchat initiatives. This was part of the media program by Wilson Binkley. They've done a great job of being present there. It's an ad that's on Instagram and an ad that's on Snapchat, so people are able to like or put a smiley face on it, so that's the impressions that you see there. They've had, and then 474 clicks on the ad from Instagram and 389 clicks on the ad in Snapchat, and that takes them right to our website for that. And here are adorable pets of the week, just brand new today, Zazu and Kita for cat and dog. I welcome any questions.
Thank you. Are there any members? Board? Yes.
Madam Vice Chair.
Board Member Ellens.
Clint, regarding euthanasia, what's the criteria for space medical?
That means if there's animals not responding to treatments or if it's too past treatments and it's so far gone that we need the space for other animals to come in to be in the medical area, then we have to make some decisions for euthanasia.
Are these lesser maladies than some of the other reasons for euthanasia?
Can you expound on that?
When a dog is euthanized for space medical, is the illness less serious than for other reasons, such as respiratory problems, things like that?
Well, currently right now the respiratory issues are a problem all over, and then we also have distemper that's reared its ugly head all over the region. It's actually in areas where it's not usually in, it's showing. So I would say that there are not any higher issues or problems. It's when the medical area is full. Like ringworm, cats can fill up really, really quickly. And so if we need space to bring newer ringworm or less advanced ringworm, we might euthanize some ringworm cats. Or if there's some issues where we need more room in the dog kennels, we'll look through and do the more severe, because there's different categories of upper respiratory issues. The more severe ones, we'll have to make a hard decision on and euthanize them to bring in the other ones. So we really look at the condition of the animal versus just what it has.
Because my impression was that in that category, these are animals that are just a little sick.
No, I wouldn't say that.
Okay, thank you.
Board Member Flores.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And thank you for your question, Commissioner Ellens. I too was wondering, Clint, when you said that when you need space, then you'll euthanize. So it seems that if there's enough space, irrespective of the animal's condition, all animals live. So it's actually relative, right? I mean, the conditions and the reasons for euthanizing depend on and are relative to the severity versus space. It isn't severity versus space, it's space versus space.
Yes, it's definitely a space versus space issue.
You can have, if you had enough space, one day you can have a cat not euthanized or a dog not euthanized, and the next day there isn't space, and that same animal would be.
Possibly up for euthanasia, yes.
So I think that was Commissioner Allen's question. And
thank you for the clarification. Yes.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Madam Chair.
Board Member Ellens.
Talking about space, will we have more space when the new facility is opened?
Yes, we will. The existing center will be a medical department or a medical center. So all those kennels used there will be split between holding medical issue animals that need to be healthy and also a spay-neuter initiative that we'll be doing. So yes, there'll be more room.
So usage of this facility will decrease the problem, presumably.
The usage of our old facility will increase the problem?
No, it will decrease the problem.
Decrease the problem. It's what we're hoping, yes.
Is the new facility still larger than this one, space-wise?
I'd have to look at the square footage to be exact, but I would say that yes, they are. It is larger.
So there is possibly relief coming.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you, Board Member Ellens. Alongside that, though, while we may have the square footage for space, I know that the other considerations with staffing will be important for us as a board to look at in the future as we onboard the new facility. Any further questions for Mr. Thacker on this issue? Then we're going to move on to committee reports, item number D. And first up, we do have our finance. Mr. Enriquez is not here, but Mr. Thacker, I can turn it over to you and then to city staff. Hello and welcome.
Good morning, Ms. Chair and members of the board. My name is Maria Sanchez, Accounting Supervisor with the City of Las Cruces Finance Department, and I'm here to present the October financial report. In the statement of net position, the Animal Services General Fund showed cash of $1.3 million. There's a receivable from Doña Ana County of $319,000. And liabilities were about $57,000. There was also revenue collected in advance for grants received but not spent of almost $200,000. And an assigned fund balance of about $1.4 million. The changes in net position in the general fund showed the revenues exceeded expenditures by about $540,000. On this next slide, total revenues were at 39.5% and total of budget. Total expenditures were at 25.3% of budget. And all the other expenditures were at 62.5%. And this is mainly due to insurance premium payments that are paid at the beginning of the year. We also had temp agency services that they were also over budget due to increased staffing needs. And as you can see, the budget parameter for the month of October was 33.3%. On the next slide, revenues and expenditures for the month of October. As you can see, total revenues that are shown on the green dotted line were about $262,000. And total expenditures reflected on the orange dotted line were about $287,000. This next slide shows percentage of total total expenditures. And each category is calculated by taking the actual divided by the year-to-date total expenditures. And as you can see, the biggest one showing the highest percentage was personnel at 69%, followed by services of 17%.
Madam Chair, does the personnel slice of the pie include benefits?
I'm sorry?
Does the personnel expense of 68% include benefits?
Yes, sir. It includes all fringe benefits plus temp agency services as well.
Yes, Board Member.
It might be more instructive if you include benefits as a separate piece of the pie so that we can get a more accurate understanding of what is salary and what is non-salary.
Okay, I can make a note of that, and that way I can discuss it with Josh to show it on the next financial report.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. And with that, this concludes the October financial report, and I, along with the Animal Services staff, will now stand for any questions.
Thank you. We have Board Member Gondara.
Thank you, Madam Chair, Vice Chair. Hi, Maria. Good morning. Thank you for your presentation. Can you move back to the slide? Yes, the pie.
Okay.
Is there also a way that you can separate out the temp positions? I think that would be important as well because, right, you don't give them the fringe benefits and such. So I think that would be helpful. And then the slide before, you spoke of how many temps or what it was like. Well, you made mention, right, the temp positions,
yes.
Correct? Now, where would I find that and how much? Is that under services?
The temp agencies, yes, ma'am. The services, it should be temp agency services, repair and maintenance, and other services, expenditures.
All other expenditures.
And services expenditures, which includes, let me just look at my. We have, on the other services, we have postages and freight, print and copy fees, all the other supplies, shop supplies and materials, the telephone, cell phones, and you name all those line items. Membership fees, professional services. Purchase services.
Got it. Okay. Yeah, if you could, I would say separate that out so that we can see, because I know that's an issue for Clint currently with his personnel.
Okay.
Right?
Yes, ma'am.
That would be helpful to me or to us, I would think. And then the separation, I agree with Commissioner Ellens, the separation of the benefits would be helpful as well.
Okay.
Thank you,
I'll
Maria.
definitely make a note of that.
Thank you so much. Thank you,
Ms. Vice Chair, members of the
Councilor
board. Yeah.
Thank you, Maria, for your presentation. My question might have to come to Clint, actually, but in terms of temp services, how are you on budget? Are you using more than you had originally budgeted? And if so, what does that look like for the remainder of your fiscal season?
Thank you, Madam Vice Chair. Quinn Thacker, Animal Service Center. We continue to use temp agencies. However, we are decreasing the amount. Whenever somebody is brought on for onboarding or new hires, we're decreasing that amount that we have in the center. So hopefully, as we get closer, it will run down to nothing, or eventually maybe just one or two. I do know for a fact that it's a fairly good. No, it's not a good system, but it's fairly nice how when we offer or have a job open, it's the temps that are there that they apply for it. So when or if they are hired, that means they already have all the training, they know what to do. It's a very quick step in.
Thank you. And do you know your vacancy rate at the moment?
Not off the top of my head, no, I don't.
Might that be something that our city has? Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, I can get that for you easy enough. I just don't have it off the top of my head.
I think I see Ms. Demush headed down. Thank you.
Chairman, this is Leanne Demush for the Record Finance Director. It's about 21% right now.
1%. Thank you. Are there any further questions by members of the board? Yes, Board Member Flores.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and this is for Leanne. Since you opened the door, Leanne, here it goes. Sorry. Why are there any vacancies? I mean, the money's there, so why do we have vacancies open? Why can't we get HR moving on these positions? I'm sure there are people who have applied, and the money's sitting there. Is there a reason? That makes sense to me. Thank you.
Madam Chair, Councilor Flores, I'm unsure of that. I'm not part of HR. What we may need to do is ask that question to our HR director, and maybe at the next possible board meeting have her attend. Or I really do not know how to answer that. I apologize.
It's quite all right, Leanne. I really didn't expect you to have that information at your fingertips. but it is a recurring issue throughout the departments, and we have vacancies and we have the money, and it seems to me that there should be some action there. So if this is falling on the ears of our HR or our city manager, may they fall sweetly on their ears and heed the message. And thank you so much, Ms. Demouche.
You're more than welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you, Board Member Flores. A follow-up to your question, perhaps for Mr. Thacker, then. When you have these postings and listings, are we seeing the type of turnout that you would expect with some of these listings?
No, we are not. We're seeing a huge decrease in the amount of individuals that are willing to work for $11 an hour, especially when compared, especially compared to pre-pandemic. So we're battling that with trying to get the initiative through to hire, but it's not as easy as let's just pay them more, because then we have an issue of, well, people are coming on at $14 an hour. I'm coming in at $11, or I came in at $11 an hour. Now they're making more than me. So it's just a continual snowball effort, and we have a discussion today planned, which I plan to talk about and address for that a little bit. But the answer is no. We have far less people coming into the center for job applications.
Thank you. Yes, Board Member Flores.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Clint, did I understand you to say that that there are positions available now at $14 an hour? Or is that the goal? And then, so people now earning $11 an hour, which I think is abominable. If people are getting paid $11 an hour, and say the new positions were $14 an hour? No, that part I didn't understand. There was a disconnect, at least in my brain. Can you explain that?
What I was stating was if we change the amount that they're brought in on as a starting salary, then there is that snowball effect of, wait a second, if they get a raise, why don't I get a raise? And it kind of goes up through. So the plan is to start somebody at $13 an hour, and then when they're there a year and off probation, so you got to meet both of those, they get $1 increase in salary.
Okay.
That's the plan, but we don't have that in place yet. People are still starting at $11.04 an hour.
So, Clint, do you speak directly with the HR or with the city or county? Do you speak directly to them about these issues, or is that something that we as a board should address here, and hopefully the city manager, and then Eric isn't here today, or something that we can discuss in the finance committee insofar as bringing those salaries up, because, I mean, $11 an hour, I mean, minimum wage, I think, should be at $15. Personally, it should be more just because of inflation. But if that was then adjusted, if that adjustment was made for current employees, then do you believe that people will be applying for those positions at $14, $15 an hour?
Yes, ma'am. It's a double-edged sword, as was stated, and this is in the next discussion item, I think. So do you want me to answer that or continue on? Or wait?
Board Member Flores, if you want, we're going to have a robust conversation about this topic and a wage increase. It's on our action item number B. If you'd like to pause for a moment. Thank you. Great. Thank you.
Madam Chair, sorry.
Yes, Board Member Gandara.
Thank you, Vice Chair Stuvi. Thank you again. Clint, I think this is important enough that a slide in your presentation might be something that would be helpful to the board in terms of number of vacancies, percentage of vacancies, sort of number of applications you receive, a timeline about what it's taking, staff to yourself and HR to get to that point of interviewing and hiring. I feel like there's a disconnect and very little information coming our way about this, and it seems to be a reoccurring issue. And so I would like to see a slide with all that information monthly, so then we can turn around and as individual through council can speak to Mr. Peely, about that, but also speak to you about what are the issues internally, what do we need to do to mitigate those issues moving forward. That would be my recommendation. Thank you.
Thank you. It's a great idea, Madam Chair, Madam Pro Tem. We do have a timeline currently started, because that was a suggestion you made last month. So we already have that in place. We have Bernice and everybody that's involved in the process are writing down the dates. It's a spreadsheet that was sent out to all the managers. So that information has already gone forward. We have no problem at all putting the vacancy rate and the number of available positions that are not filled in a presentation. So we'll do that.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you,
Madam Vice Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Thacker. Item number 2 is our executive committee. Mr. Thacker, if you have anything to add to that. If not, the only thing that I would like to suggest is moving forward with our executive committee. I would like to be able to include an invitation to county management and city management, so that would be like Mr. McMahon and Mr. Enriquez, so that when we discuss some of these issues during the executive team, we are not siloing communication. So moving forward, I'd like to be able to extend that invitation to the 2 other entities. Thank you. And then turning it over to facilities, to Board Member Gondara.
Thank you, Madam Vice Chair. Yes, we did meet, Clint and I, via Zoom at the time because it's so early in the month. They were pouring slab, I think, for the new center. And so there was a lot of excitement around that. I'm sure Clint could give us more of an update in terms of what's happening with the center currently. I've also saw, Clint, your Facebook Live where you actually show, all the improvements that are happening over there currently. We also talked about the facility and vacancies, and we talked about the issue of just sort of streamlining and understanding, right, where the vacancies are at, where are the limitations or the holdup kind of thing, so that we can get a better handle. And briefly discussed the facility and what's happening with maybe possibly opening up a little more. I know that I'd had a conversation with Clint, at least via email, on that, and so I know that that's something that I asked you, Madam Chair, to put on the agenda. Thank you for doing that, so we can have a conversation specifically about opening up the facility. So with that, I'll turn it over to Clint.
Thank you, Madam Mayor Pro Tem, Madam Vice Chair. Yes, we were very excited about what's going on at the Animal Service Center. The new construction's moving right along. Walls are going up now. So we are very excited to see that and the progress being made. We did lose another portion of our center due to construction. It's just the entrance there by my office and Bernice's office. They're turning the access pedestrian gate. Instead of facing east and west, it will be turned and facing north and south. So just some basic work going on there. We appreciate the great communication we're getting from Caliper and that team. So, yeah, things are moving forward.
Thank you. With that, we can move on to the next item, which is our discussion items, and we have A, which is the Ascmv public walk-ins discussion.
Thank you, and I guess that's me again, right?
Sure is.
So I was, again, approached by many individuals about the center and about how it seems like the center is closed. And so for some background, In 2019, before we were shut down by the pandemic, visitors came in and said they want to see adoptable dogs. So they walked through just one portion of our center, just 2 small kennels. It's called the AD and the Sbr Kennels. And then we had to halt them in early 2020, and we went to the appointment-based adoptions. And then this year, just recently, the public request, like a compromise. Let's talk about, let's see if we can get, and I also got instruction from the board of directors to look into some options there. So we looked at a little bit of the pros and cons, and when I say we, I mean our management. This isn't just a one-person show at the center. I like to involve our managers in a lot of discussion and decision-making that we do. So one of the pros for the adoption or the appointment-based adoptions is that all animals are able to be seen. It's not just that small portion in the AD and the SBR that was being seen in 2019. So what I mean by that is online, somebody can say, ooh, I really like that Jack Russell Terrier or that small breed. So they come and see it, but it's way off in another part of the center. That's fine. We come, we get that animal, we bring it out, and you can have your getting acquainted with it. And you can see, I'm not going to spend too much time on this to see, but there are definitely some pros to that. Some of the cons is that, as listed by the public, they believe, and rightly so, that limits animals that can be seen. It limits access to a public building, and it lowers the adoption numbers, which is true. It does. So this is a map I wanted to show you of the center. Now, I chose this one because of this area right here is our impound area now. This area here is all gone. What used to happen is an animal control officer would come in here, park here, and they would unload their truck here, and the animals would be placed in these kennels for as long as possible before they entered the building. The reason as long as possible is that was considered a clean space, and the vaccines were starting to take effect longer and longer. And then they entered the building through here, and then they kind of snaked through and made their way through these 3 kennels over into the adoption kennels. So this is what I was talking about. People come in here and they see these animals and these animals. Those are the only kennels they were seeing in 2019 because we did not allow a shelter-wide walkthrough. Those are the only 2. And what I was saying before about how everything's available is an animal could be way over here in this cage, and we get that animal and then we bring it back out here to the back so they can see it with the appointment-based. So now, currently, this whole area is gone. We no longer have this area. Right now, animal control officers pull in and they come here into this area and put their animals inside of here. This is called our X kennel. And then from there, it goes into here. So the animals that would be seen by the public if we were to open back up like we did in 2019 would be animals that were still be in their hold time. And they're not available for adoption. So currently now, these animals that are here move into these kennels that are here. And because we're doing the adoption or the appointment-based adoptions, that means whenever there's a kennel open, we're able to fill that with one of the dogs coming from the impound area. So no longer is it a process moved through. So that's what I was talking about in the emails, and what I was presenting is it's no longer a simple, hey, come look at the adoptable animals for that. So as in a spirit of compromise, this is what we're presenting to the board and also to the public. Starting Friday, December 3rd, we're going to actually post today a notice that after the board meeting that every Friday and Saturday is open to the public. And it's the hours from 1 p.m. to 3 p.m. We chose 1 to 3 because we talked to the front staff, and that's the best time for them to be able to handle this extra workload coming in. We also are stating that they can go into the Sbr Kennel, and that's this kennel right here. And we're going to have healthy animals in there available for adoption. People can walk right in and see what we have currently available. Now, the cats, that's not a problem. The cats are right here. Staff can come in, or people looking to adopt can come in and see the cats. And the reason why we like this plan is that we're going to go with no staff is needed to walk them through. Before, it was staff needed to walk everybody through. Volunteers are on a schedule. They've already signed up, waiting for December 3rd, and they're going to help people come through if they have any questions. So if somebody's interested in an animal, they just need to take the piece of paper that's on the kennel and come up to the front. And then when somebody is available, they'll be able to come up and introduce them to that dog or to that cat. And the volunteers can help with that as well. Throughout this entire thing, we are still going to be doing adoption appointments. So if somebody is saying, I'd like to see this animal, they get the first dibs, so to say, as far as the adoption. And that's my presentation. I can answer any questions.
Thank you, Mr. Becker. Yes, Board Member Ellens, and then Board Member Gondara.
Clint, would you go back to the previous slide?
This one?
Yeah. The 2, 4, 6, it looks like there's only 10 or 12 of 10 kennels with adoptable animals for the public to view. That doesn't seem like a lot of adoptable animals, particularly if you go online. We present far more than 10 adoptable animals.
Yes, there's actually 18 kennels in that room. There's 10 in the middle, and then there's 4 on each side of that. And each dog has usually 2 dogs in it. So these are individual kennels through here.
All right, I misread the chart.
It's all right.
So 36 adoptable animals would be available for viewing.
Correct.
What about all the other adoptable animals elsewhere in the facility?
Yeah, they can be viewed online and set by appointments. You got to remember, we did not allow people to walk through the center in 2019. And disease is the biggest issue. If you can tell somebody not to, and you can put as many pictures and posts and on kennels as you want, people are going to put their fingers in and touch the dogs, period. End of story. And if they do it twice, disease has just spread. And we already have enough in there that spreads disease, and we keep it to a minimum as possible. But having people through there is not acceptable this time.
Do you have any COVID requirements?
Masks to be worn at all times, and hand sanitizing and wash hands are currently in place. We also wipe down the doorknobs in high traffic areas.
No vaccine requirement?
No current vaccine requirement, no.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Board Member Gondara.
Thank you, Vice Chair Abita Stuvi. Thanks, Clint, for this. What is so you said, let me see, 36 adoptable animals for the dogs, I'm assuming, but different for the cats, correct?
Yeah, cats I'd have to get the right count. This is actually an old map. So we have, let me go back to it here. So if you remember, these go all the way around, stop, and then come down here.
They do.
And then we have a bank on the other side too, but they're 3 high. So that would be at least 12 there and another at least 18 on the other side. So there's a lot of cats that are up for adoption. That can be seen by the public.
Right. So Clint, if somebody is interested in, say, an animal in that, my left, your right, the larger area, the yellow, no, not for dogs, I'm assuming, towards the back? Yes, there's animals in there, correct?
Yes.
If someone's interested in something, an animal in there, they would have to set an appointment.
Correct. Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And how are you going to select the animals that go into the 36 area?
We want to keep them so we can put at least 2 in those kennels. So and also our higher adoptable animals are always small to mid-sized animals. So we'll put the mid ones in there, and it's just going to go by health and behavior.
Okay, and what's the number of staffing? You said no staff back here, that people will be free to roam, I guess, if you will, in that area. Mm-hmm. But what does the staffing look like on a Saturday?
Generally, we have one person per kennel.
Okay.
In each area. That's if nobody calls in sick.
That's on a Friday or Saturday and Sunday? Mm-hmm. Is that when you want to do it? So what does that look like? I don't know. How many kennels?
Well, that would be
36 people?
I wish. That'd be nice. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 people in areas not viewed by the public, and then you have 7, 8. So we would have at the very least 8 kennel staff. That would be on Friday and Saturday.
And does that include your front office?
No, that's only kennel staff.
So you're going to have people there in the front because they have to address people, right? Welcome people in.
Yeah, we're always open on Friday and Saturday. None of that is changing.
Right. Okay, so the dates are Fridays and Saturdays, 1 to 3.
1 to 3. And this is just trying things out. So if it goes really well and people are coming in, then we can extend those hours, absolutely. But if we get a COVID scare and we have to call some people and say, hey, this person had COVID, you walked through it, because people are going to sign in, then we might reduce those. Mm-hmm. We'll have to see.
Okay, all right.
I believe this is an excellent compromise of wanting to have both things. We've opened up the cat room and also opened up the dog area. My concern was COVID exposure for my staff. And we've taken that away by having the staff walk through, or having the citizens walk through without a staff member there. And then volunteers can be present to answer questions they may have. My staff is only impacted if the person wants to see an animal, which they would already be impacted if a person wants to see an animal by the appointment based, because we would have to do that exchange there as well.
But your volunteers will be impacted.
Yes. And they are aware of the dangers and are still signed up for that.
What is the liability for that?
Well, they're covered under us. So you say liability, if somebody's injured, then I believe, Bernice, correct me if I'm wrong, but their insurance takes over and then ours does.
Does she want to come up to the front and...
Sure.
Bernice Navarro. Every volunteer that does come and assist at the shelter, they do sign a waiver stating that if there are any types of injuries or anything like that, that they are responsible. So we do not cover like any of the medical insurance or anything like that.
Thank you, Bernice. Does that also, will you be testing people, like your staff and the volunteers?
Testing them for COVID?
Yes.
There's no current plans for that, no.
My recommendation would be to do that. If you're going to start opening yourself up, I would think that there need to be some testing requirements just to protect you all, staff and the volunteers, would be my recommendation.
Our current policy states that if you have any of the symptoms that you're not to come to work and notify a manager immediately. My worry is that if we start doing testing, mandatory testing, then that would mean we would have to pay somebody to come in and have it done as a scheduled time, similar to the county where somebody comes in on Friday, tests everybody, get results back on Monday so they can say who can or cannot come to work. So, and we'd have to look at budget-wise if that's in the budget for that.
Is that something that you can talk to the city about? Are they still offering? I don't know. Are we still offering testing? I don't see anybody. Barbara's saying yes, I think. I see the nod and her eyes very far away. There she is. Okay, yeah.
Does the city pay for that? So we would have to as well.
I don't know all that. That's for you to figure out, right?
That's an item that we can address afterwards as well to see what can happen.
Yeah, I can look into that.
Thank you. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Board Member Flores.
Thank you. I think that's would have to be a board decision probably, and I don't know. I mean, I think we're definitely treading on legal questions. If this board is going to make a decision like that, I think it's something that we really have to discuss and perhaps have a resolution. I'm not sure about that. It's just because this entity is so different than everything else that we do, because it's like, by whatever. I don't know. I don't think we can just say do this, do that without a vote and a discussion and a resolution, perhaps. It's something
We do have an attorney that Clint can speak to about any of this stuff.
Yeah,
if we agree that that's something that needs to happen to protect. I mean, the bottom line is you've continued to do this because you've been concerned about exposure, your staff and the animals' exposure to, countless people that are coming in. And so I think it's something we should consider. I don't know, and I'm throwing it out there as a suggestion. Thank you.
Well, I'm just looking at it insofar as any other entity that has a public there, be it a restaurant, being a store, that sort of thing that really draws a large number of people. And I'm just, I think, it would definitely be something that would have to go to legal. And I don't know, is it our city attorney that it goes to? Does it go to the county? You have your own attorney?
Yes.
So, that's where I get baffled. So, it should probably go to his attorney, or the center's attorney. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Board Member Flores. With it in mind, since you do plan on opening soon, perhaps a recommendation for this would be just making sure that we are adhering to those standards with masking, sanitation. Perhaps temperature checks is a non-invasive way, especially for volunteers that are coming in, to make sure that you're protecting the staff. And then this would have to be a legal check, but if you do want to see if volunteers are willing to give any information as far as even vaccination, just to see how well their protection is for your other staff members. But that would probably be as a volunteer at this point until you can contact legal.
Okay, thank you.
Madam Chair?
Yes, Board Member Ellens.
I think we've strayed off the main issue for this presentation. Cliff, tell me if I'm right or wrong. The kennels adjacent to the public viewing area, the 36 animal capacity, are those used by the animal control officers when they bring animals in for temporary hold?
Are you speaking of these that are here adjacent?
No, the ones above it. That one, yeah.
Yes, they are. No, I'm sorry. No, they are not. The animal control impounds under this orange or red roof, and then Ascmv brings the animals in here.
So why could you not use that set of kennels as well for the viewing on Fridays and Saturdays?
Yeah, as stated before, these are not available for adoption. These are animals that have just come in maybe 3-4 days ago, if that.
Okay, well, that's what I meant when I mentioned animal control bringing in new animals. So they're totally unavailable.
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. And Mr. Ellens, with consideration that one of the limitations for the Ascmv for public options, one of the reasons was due to COVID. So it is a pertinent topic conversation that we make sure that we're still, as we increase the availability of the public coming in, that we are still addressing that situation at the same time. So it is multidimensional from the shelter to those other options. At this time, are there any further questions or comments? Mr. Ellens.
Oh.
Any from you, Mr. Thacker?
None from me. Thank you, Madam Vice Chair.
Okay. Thank you. Next up, we have public comment. Are there any members of the public that wish to speak on this issue? I can start on my left. Any members? And members on my right. Seeing none, then we'll move on to our action items, and we have A, which is Resolution 2021-08, the acceptance of the $40,000 for the Best Friends Animal Society Program Support Grant.
Good morning. Elaine Stakara-Simon. I'm the grant writer for the Animal Services Center of the Mesilla Valley. Happy to be here to give you a little bit of background on the gift that we received from Best Friends Animal Society for a community coordinator. A couple things that are important for you to know ahead of time as a board. What's a little bit different about this funding is, first of all, this is not a generic community coordinator. This is a community coordinator that has specific mandates and specific tasks. It's not just sort of a, hey, come on in and help us out. There are specifics that this person will be accountable for. Another thing is that it is another way for the center to reach out into the community in a little bit of a proactive way. Often we go out into the community with adoption events off-site, we do the clinics, but still the members of the public are coming to us. Here, we are going to the public. We are actively reaching out, proactively reaching out to members in the community. And also, finally, this is, when we go into the communities, and the subsequent slides will give a little bit more detail on this, we're going in not just as the people who help animals, but the people who help people as well. So, the idea for this came about actually when City Animal Control Supervisor Jimenez has put up in his presentations the hot spots where they pick up, where they're dispatched to, his officers are dispatched to most often, and where the animals come in the most. And we sort of started thinking about this in terms of oftentimes they are concentrated in specific, discrete areas, such as trailer parks, such as apartment complexes, such as certain blocks within the city. And we decided that having someone to reach out specifically to these discrete communities that are low income, most often, that may be underrepresented communities as well, and go in and work with these communities for a twofold purpose. The first thing is actively work with the managers in these communities to work with the residents, first of all, to get their own privately owned animals, dogs or cats, microchipped, vaccinated, and hopefully spay-neutered through the Ascmv. That's the first piece of it. That's the helping people piece of it. Helping people take care of their own animals who may otherwise not have the means to do so or the ability to get up to the center to do so. The second piece of it is working with members of these communities in these discrete areas to work with the, for lack of a better term, cat people in the community to TNR everything that can possibly be TNR'd. So it's a little bit of a twofold purpose there. The Best Friends has given us an actual goal or metric of 519 cats receiving life-saving services, which is counted either as a microchip, a vaccine, or a spay-neuter. So this initiative with the community coordinator, it is cat-centric, but it's not cat-specific. If somebody needs to get their dog vaxxed, chipped, or spay-neutered, we'll be working with them as well. So as I said, the coordinator is actually going to be reaching out to the trailer park manager or whoever the representative of the area is, and I've had the conversation with Supervisor Jimenez, and he and I have already talked about what these locations might be, reaching out to them and finding the best way to reach the community members in these locations, and start scheduling clinics, start scheduling ways to get their animals up to the center to be taken care of, and then starting to work with the people in the community to locate the colonies and start doing TNR as fast as we possibly can. And I'd like to put in a plug for my most beautiful foster kitty named Cider, who is looking for a home, and I see 5 great candidates right in front of me. Happy to take any questions.
Thank you so much for that. I am banned from having any more pets in my household. But are there any questions? Board Member Gondara.
Thank you, Vice Chair. Thank you so much for your presentation. This is super exciting. I'm so glad that we're doing this. My question is now, does it have to specifically be in a mobile park? When I heard presentations from Gino in the past, there's not just maybe the areas in a mobile home park, but there's other areas very specific, like the Mesquite Historic, like all of us here on, that are council members know where our hot spots are, and they're not necessarily in a mobile home park.
Mm-hmm. Yes, that's correct. The areas that that Supervisor Jimenez and I spoke about, one of them is up, and I can't remember what the street name is, but it's right where Alameda ends and turns into Doña Ana County. It's like there's an area up there. There's a couple of other areas. One I want to say is on Hadley. He gave me, I think, about 6 different areas for consideration.
Okay, very good. I just wanted some clarification. Thank you and good luck. I think this is exciting, and I look forward to hearing updates regularly from you all.
Thank you. Super, super exciting.
Board Member Ellens.
Madam
I'm
Chair.
allergic to cats, so sorry.
Aww.
Sorry, Cider.
Aww.
I'm allergic.
This is a $40,000 grant,
Correct, sir.
and it's being used to hire this person.
Most of it is, sir, yes.
This will be a continuing position, I presume.
No, sir. It is time limited.
It is. So
It is a gift, right?
When the 40,000 runs out, it's over.
Correct.
Okay, because I was concerned about future years of service and how we were going to pay for it, but I don't have to worry about that then.
The hope is that we'll have some fabulous results and show that it is a very worthwhile effort.
Well, if it's worthwhile in the beginning, why would it not be worthwhile later on?
Well, because we'll have results at the end.
I'm sorry?
We'll have actual results at the end.
So it's something that could be considered for a future position.
That would be phenomenal to consider it for a future.
Okay.
Thank you, Board Member Flores.
Thank you. And thank you for your presentation. So so how does it work when there's a grant? So this would be a one-time thing. It doesn't sound like it's renewable.
Correct. I don't know if it will be renewable or not, but at this point, we're just looking at a one-time.
So is it also timely insofar as the performance of the or the conditions, or how does that work?
Yes, we'll have roughly a year.
So it'd be roughly a year, $40,000, and so the deliverables will be enumerated and kept track of, and all that sort of stuff.
Correct.
And okay, and that one person is going to be a contractor or contractee, or
that is what we anticipate. Yes. Yes,
okay.
It will be a contract. It will be a contract.
It'll
position.
be a contract, and
yes.
So it won't be an employee-employer relationship.
Correct. That's my understanding of how it's going to be set up.
And this person will be working closely with whom?
with everyone at the center, but primarily working with myself to make sure that things are getting reported, working with the spay-neuter coordinator, working with the medical staff, working with front office staff, because this person will be doing not just the coordinating with the community with which they're working, but also and scheduling and making sure that the medical staff has the capacity to do what we want to do.
And who's going to be the entering the data and keeping track of everything that's getting done? It seems like either there'd have to be a centralization of all these duties and reporting.
The coordinator will be the one taking care of that, is what I anticipate, because it is going to be of but not in the regular center operations. They are going to be responsible for making sure that 519 life-saving services goal is met. So they're going to be the ones who are keeping track of what happens in these different locations. Does that answer your question?
It's kind of sort of, because my other question would be then, this person would be working at the center, entering the data there, using computers there, or would this person be a self-employed contractor? Therein lies the rub. And I think that those are the things you have to look at when you have this kind of money coming in. Is a person really a contractor, or is the person really, performing, not using his or her, independent contractor? So that's the question I have, because then the person becomes almost a hybrid employee, and if there's any liability to be seen, that issue could be raised, and so those are all things that are foreseeable. And I just want to just ask and see whether that's been contemplated by you or Mr. Clint or anybody, your attorney.
Madam Flores, Madam Vice Chair, we're in the process of writing that contract with our attorney. So we'll be sure that those are addressed. Just out of curiosity, is there an issue or problem with a contracted employee utilizing a center workstation?
Well, my understanding of independent contractors is that independent contractors use their own tools, their own computers, their own. If this might differ, I don't know how that would fit into the scheme of the grant, and that's why I'm raising those questions. That's all. That's just something for your attorney to focus on, whether this person is going to be an independent contractor, and and set forth all of the limitations, and bring your own pencils, bring your own computers, type of thing.
Absolutely, and we do not plan on giving the individual a workstation or an office. That's not part of it. But I would see times where they might need to access Shelter Love or something like that, so they jump on really quick at the center on something. So it's something we'll consider, and we'll be sure to talk to our attorney about it. Thank you.
Great. You're welcome. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Assistant County Manager McMahon.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I really like the approach. I think it's a novel way to look at this issue, and I look forward, and I think the board looks forward to the results and the applicability countywide, perhaps.
Thank you. Yes, thank you.
If there are no further questions, are there any questions from members of the public or comments? Seeing none, we can entertain a motion for approval for the resolution 2021-08.
Move to approve.
It's been moved by Board Member Gondra. Do I have a second?
Second by Flores.
Thank you. It's been moved and seconded. I'll now call roll. Board Member Flores?
Yes.
Board Member Ellens? Assistant, I keep wanting to say City County Manager McMahon.
Yes.
Board Member Gondara.
Yes.
And Vice Chair Abeyta-Stubbe, yes. Thank you so much. Our next item B is Resolution 2021-09, the wage increase for the Ascmv personnel.
Madam Vice Chair, Clint Thacker, Executive Director, if I could, I would like to request that this resolution be tabled until the December 15th. We can still have a discussion, that's fine, but there's some more facts that we need to get before we move forward on this. Most and foremost is the 80-20 benefit split that's going to be impacting the Ascmv. We need to see how that's going to impact. We're picking up that shortfall, so we need to see how it's going to impact this plan that we have.
Thank you. We can entertain a motion to table.
So moved by Flores.
It's been moved by Councilor Flores, seconded by Ellens. All those in favor, we'll start with Board Member Flores.
Yes.
Board Member Ellens?
Yes.
Assistant County Manager McMahon?
Yes.
Board Member Gondara?
Yes.
And yes as well. So we have successfully tabled. Okay. Next up, we do have public input. Members of the public, I can start on my left. Any members that would like to speak? And members on my right, any members that would like to speak? Okay, seeing none. Next up, we have chair and board comments at this time. Yes, Board Member Ellens.
I'm quite surprised that there was no public input on the access issue, given all the emails, both in number and in depth, that we have received. I don't understand it, but so be it.
Thank you for that. I think one of the reasons for that, I would hope, is that spirit of compromise that we worked out to be able to start increasing access with the cats, with some dogs, and then hopefully it does go well and we can continue that increase. But I think that's perhaps maybe one of the reasons that we didn't see quite as much.
So, Clint, this was a predetermined proposal based upon consultation with the general public who had concerns?
We did some postings on Facebook and some of the animal-centered pages stating what we were going to do. I had an open discussion telephone call with Jean Gilbert, who seems to be kind of the one leading the effort for this, the compromise. So I had a conversation with her as well, told her our plans, and so yeah, word was already out.
So the public has signed off on this.
I don't know if they've signed off on it or not, but I can tell you that to be honest with you, I received probably 3 emails about this issue to begin with. It was mostly centered or focused toward the board here. So, but I'm still, again, in the spirit of compromise, I have no problems. If we can figure something out, and I said that from the beginning, if we can figure something out that's going to benefit both people, we're all for it.
Did you talk to Action Program for Animals?
No, I did not.
Because she had she presented some serious emails on this. So
yeah, I believe I saw one of the emails was forwarded to me, and if I remember right, I replied to her a couple times, but I didn't speak to her in person.
Okay.
Thank you. Are there any other board comments at this time?
None for
Yes.
me, Madam Chair.
Okay. We will be meeting immediately after this for our closed session for the annual performance review of the Director of Animal Service Center of the Mesilla Valley, which is closed pursuant to Section 10-15-1 H2 and MSA 1978. And with that, I can entertain a motion to adjourn at 11:09.
So moved by Flores.
Second, Gondara.
It's been moved and seconded. Board Member Flores.
Yes.
Board Member Ellens. Yes. Assistant County Manager McMahon.
Yes.
Board Member Gondara.
Yes.
and yes for me. We are adjourned at 11:09. Thank you, everyone, for joining us today and for sticking with us through all the technical difficulties. We really appreciate it.